Hi, it's Peg, and I know many of you know Wendy Vecchi and Mary Beth Shaw. Wendy had done a technique using stamps and alcohol-based products, and or solvent-based products, excuse me, and that was all well and good for rubber stamps. But then Mary Beth came on, and she says, "Well, somebody needs to do this using stencils." Well, you know me, I love a challenge. So I have three different kinds of paper here. This is just some cheap sketch paper that I have put some color down on. This one is some Nina White. You know, the card makers love the Nina White, so I thought, well, I should probably use that and see what the effect is on that particular paper. I should probably also have some Yupo and other things out here, render, whatever. Try whatever surfaces you have in your stash. This one is Wendy's specialty stamping paper. I think you can get this either from Stampers Anonymous or Ranger ink. But the inks and things we're going to use are definitely from Ranger today. So these on the specialty stamping paper, I was going to play with these to start with and get a stencil. I've got several of them out here. And I'm just going to, number one, I was going to try spraying the stencil and putting it down on here. So let's do that. I'm just going to spritz this with some alcohol, just like you would with a rubber stamp, and stamp it onto the background. And let's see what we get here. So I'm going to let that sit for just a minute. Got all this alcohol, so I want to mop that up. And I'm just letting that react with the ink that's already on the card. Now, how did we do the cards? What Wendy does is she can take either the pads, the archival ink pads, or the potting soil, or excuse me, the archival ink refills. And you can go over and watch on her channel, on her Facebook. She has this, and I think Mary Beth also posted it in Stencil Girl. But what she did is she took some ink, just like this, put it on this is getting a little bit dry, so I'm going to add a little bit, just a drop of the bottle ink. Doesn't take much. And then spritz it with some alcohol. This is 91 proof alcohol. I'm going to take a palette knife and disperse that a little bit, just to make sure it's well blended. And let's see, what kind of paper do I have here? I have several different kinds. This is the specialty stamping paper. So I'm going to put that down in here. And you'll notice on this one, it does not soak through the back of the paper. So that's one thing to note right off. But you can see the soft, gentle coloration I'm getting with that. Now, you can dry this with a heat tool if you want to, or you can just set it aside to dry. I'm going to let it run its course back and forth here a little bit because the ink and the alcohol keep moving. Knock off some excess, maybe take a rag and blot the edge, and then I'll set that aside to dry. I still have this. I'm going to come back and add just a touch more ink because I want it a little more intense for this next one. The blue. Okay. And let's move that around. Add a little more alcohol to that. grab another piece of paper, and this is that Nina paper, and you'll see it soaks right through to the back side of this. That's the difference. I'm gonna, not real fond of what the Nina does. Just gets way too soaked in and intense and does not get the nice flow on there. So no, not crazy about the Nina. But there you can see the differences in the papers. And then of course the other sketch paper does soak right through because it's lightweight paper. It just soaks right into the paper. So that's how we apply that. Now let's go back to this one and see what happened when we just spritzed our stencil and put it down on there. Oh, there we go. You guys see that? Look at that. Okay, so that's if you want to use the image of the stencil as you would for a stamp. Now let's take the same one on one of these other papers. Well, let's use the same paper so we can get a comparison. This paper is the specialty stamping paper. I'm going to put the stencil down on the specialty stamping paper, and this time I'm just going to spritz the alcohol right over the top. And it's going to work with that ink, and I'm going to pick some of that up. Might want to dry that just a bit. Okay, and there you have that look. Still wet. I think I want to dry it a little bit more so it doesn't migrate. Alright, so can you guys see the difference? Very subtle, a little bolder. Specialty stamping paper. Okay, let's see if I can get anything to lift. I'm going to spritz the stencil again and put it on this sketch paper. See what I can get with that. Oh yeah. So let's dry. This is cheap sketch paper. You can see it goes right through to the back side. See that? This is the front. This is the back. I like the back better actually. So it really doesn't matter. This is the specialty stamping paper with the using it as a stamp, and this one is using it as a stencil and spritzing through. So there's 3 different things that you can do with that. The other thing I thought about was, you know, there's also this other ink.